Hello friends, how are you all? Welcome to our CSS training session. Today we will talk about styling tables. Just like we create tables in HTML with rows and columns. With CSS we can style them and make them visually appealing. To make tables look better, there are some important CSS properties such as border, padding, text alignment, vertical alignment, and background color. The border property is used to set a border around two tables, cells, rows, and the entire tables. Let's look at an example of this. I will open my core editor and show you. I will make it a bit smaller. You can see here that the table TH and TD have no style applied yet. The border is set to 2 pixels solid black. Here you can see the table starting here and ending here. This element that I am showing you it opening and closing around the cells. In the first row, I have used the TH for the header and TD for the data. You can see that header 1 and header 2 are displayed here with the border applied around the cells. If I remove TH and TD, the border will only be applied around the table itself. But as I add TH and TD back, you can see the border around the header and data cells as well. Now let's talk about the border collapse property. This property decides whether the borders will be separated or collapsed. By default, it is set to separate, which means there will be space between the borders. When we set it to collapse, the border merge into a single border, giving the table a cleaner look. Let's see this with an example. I will not copy and code here, but I will show you directly. You can let's see I have the table th and td here. Now I will add the border collapse property and set it to separate, which is the default value. As you can see, there is no visible difference because it's set to separate. Now if I change it to coalesce, you will notice that the border merge into one single line, which makes the table cleaner. Next, let's discuss the padding property. This property creates space between the content to the cell and its border. I will show you an example by setting a padding of 20 pixels for the TH and TD. You can see how the table looks now, with the strike spaces between the text and the border. Now let's move on the text align property. This property is used to align text inside the table. Cells left, center or right. By default, text is aligned to the left. If I want to center the text, I just set text align center. Similarly, if I want the text to be aligned to the right, I use text align right. This is how we can set horizontal alignment inside a table. This vertical alignment property controls the vertical alignment of the content inside the cells. It assets values like top, middle, and bottom. This property helps control whether and content should be aligned at the top, center, or bottom of the cell. Let me show you an example. If I set the vertical alignment property to middle, the text will be vertically centered in the cell. If I set to top, the text will align to the top of the cell. And if I set it to bottom, the text will align to the bottom of the cell. Let's now talk about the border spacing property. This property is used when the border collapse is set to separate. It defines the space between the border of adjacent cells. For example, if I set border spacing 15 pixels, and cells will have 15 pixels of space between their borders. If I set to 60 pixel, the space will increase accordingly. Next, let's talk about setting the width and height of the table. For example, I can set the width of the table to 50% or any other value and it will adjust based on the available space. You can also use percentage or responsiveness. If I set width 80%, the table will take up to 80% of the available space, adjusting accordingly to the screen size. Now let's move on to the background color property. We can use property to give a color to the table and it says making it visually appealing. I can set the background color of the TH and TD to different colors, like yellow for data and light green for table heading. This will help distinguish between the header and the data section. Finally, let's look at more complex example of a style table. I have copied the HTML structure of a table with data like names and cities. First, I will set the width to 100%. I will apply the border to the TH and TD with 1 pixel solid black border. Then add some padding and center align the text. I will also give the border TH a dark background and the data cell TD a lighter. With all of these properties applied, you can see how the table looks with a neat and professional style. We can use the border collage property to make the table more compact by merging all border into one. This gives a cleaner, more polished look to the table. So friends, this was a basic overview of styling tables with CSS. You can mix these properties to make your tables visually stunning and user friendly. If you have any question or further neither clarification, feel free to ask in the comments. Keep smiling and happy coding. Thank you.